In a world obsessed with validation, the one who cares less controls the game. This isn't just a psychological trick, it's a calculated power move. It's deliberately crafted and strategically used to shift emotional dynamics without a single word. Spoken throughout history, this tactic has been used by those who understood the deeper rules of human interaction. Emperors who ruled with cold resolve, master seducers who mastered the art of absence, and ruthless kings who knew that silence could command more than speech ever could. They knew one powerful truth: when you stop giving people the emotional response they expect, you gain the upper hand. Today we're going deeper into the mechanics of emotional detachment. This isn't simply about withdrawing or withholding, it's about understanding how desire is fueled by tension, distance, and the unknown. It's about recognizing that detachment doesn't just protect your peace, it transfers the power. It's dynamic directly into your hands. This is the obsession principle in action. Here's the brutal truth. Humans crave what they can't completely possess. It's not just a theory, it's psychology in motion. When something or someone feels just out of reach, our brains become fixated. The chase intensifies. But the opposite is also true. When someone is always available, always responding, always explaining, value quietly erodes. Familiarity replaces excitement. Predictability kills desire. Why does this happen? Because mystery dies in the face of certainty, the spell breaks. But the moment you pull back, even slightly, something powerful begins to shift. Suddenly, your silence becomes louder than any explanation. Their thoughts start to spiral. They fill in the gaps with stories, doubts, and questions. What changed? Did I say something wrong? Why aren't they reacting anymore? Curiosity grows into unease. Unease becomes emotional hunger. And that hunger transforms into obsession. In that silence, you've said everything you need to. Let's be clear, this isn't about cruelty. It's about influence. It's about commanding presence. Through absence, control through silence, power through indifference. Like emotional jujitsu, you're not confronting force with force. You're stepping aside, letting their need for validation turn inward, letting them chase clarity in the empty space you've left behind. As Machiavelli once said, it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. But this isn't a call for domination. It's a warning against predictability. When your emotions are always on display, you become easy to read, easy to manipulate. Predictability is weakness in disguise. But when you remove your emotional access, when you stop reacting, stop explaining, stop seeking to be understood, you become something far more powerful, unpredictable. And in that unpredictability, you become unforgettable. Because in a world obsessed with validation, the one who cares less truly controls the game. And that's when the panic begins. Not because you've turned cold or cruel, but because you've become unreachable, emotionally unavailable. No longer in the arena where they can tug on your strings, trigger your reactions, or bait you back with guilt, praise, or false intimacy. You've stepped outside the boundaries of their influence, and suddenly they don't know what to do. With your silence, they can't push your buttons anymore. They can't drag you into unnecessary explanations or draw you into their emotional drama. You've reclaimed your control not with confrontation, not with aggression, but with quiet, deliberate restraint. It's not about shutting down, about choosing peace over chaos, clarity over noise. When you truly stop caring, stop explaining yourself, stop trying to be understood, stop handing out emotional access, you become unshakable. The storm can rage around you, but it doesn't reach you. And that's what shakes them. Not because you're heartless, but because you've removed your emotional availability from their reach. That's the moment when uncertainty creeps in, and their confidence in your attention begins to crack. So how do powerful people actually do this in the real world? What does it look like when someone lives this kind of quiet authority, not just speaks about it? They move on their own time. They don't respond out of panic or pressure or the fear of being misunderstood. They reply when it's aligned with their peace, not out of fear of losing someone's interest. Their communication is calm, intentional, and brief, not because they lack emotion, but because they've mastered it. They never over-explain. Why? Because they understand a vital truth. Most explanations are hidden apologies for having standards. And they don't feel sorry for setting boundaries. They respect themselves too much for that. Their no is firm. Their silence is complete. Their absence doesn't beg for attention. It commands it. Their presence is undeniable. But their absence speaks even louder. It leaves a lingering question in the room, an unspoken weight. People notice when they're gone. They don't chase meaningless closure or spiral into pointless debates. They don't engage in arguments designed only to provoke or drain. When something becomes petty, toxic, or manipulative, they don't fight it, they exit, quietly, without noise.
Out.
Explanation. And in that silence, they say everything. These aren't acts of arrogance or inflated ego. They are strategic exits, made with intention. These individuals understand that emotional restraint is not suppression, it's power in its purest form. It's not ghosting. It's energy conservation. More importantly, it's power conservation. Every unnecessary reaction, every emotional spiral, every over-explanation costs you. Bit by bit, you leak influence. And over time, that deficit becomes visible to you and to them. But here's the crucial warning. None of this works unless it's real. Detachment cannot be faked. People are intuitive. They don't just hear what you say, they feel the energy. Behind it, if you're pretending not to care while secretly yearning for attention, they'll sense the disconnect. That pretense won't pull them in, it will repel them. Why? Because the energy of desperation, no matter how well disguised, always reveals itself. And nothing kills attraction faster than need disguised as strength. True detachment, on the other hand, is magnetic. It radiates quiet confidence. It whispers, I am already complete. I do not need you to be whole. And that's when everything shifts. That's when they begin to lean in, not because you manipulated them, but because your presence no longer asks for anything. You've become the prize, not the pursuer. So build your value, not through appearances, but through purpose. Invest in your goals. Make your life so rich in direction, in meaning, in forward motion, that walking away never feels like loss, only alignment. When your world is full, you don't need to look back. Let them wonder. Let them wait. Let them feel your silence. Because when you stop caring, they start obsessing. And that is how power shifts.